Hi, and welcome to the Skincarma Pod. I'm Carmine, the creator and voice of the Skincarma blog. With more than 25 years in beauty as a brand builder, copywriter, and skincare junkie, I'm putting my product wisdom and expertise to work demystifying skincare. Today, on the Skincarma Pod episode 15, I'm demystifying exosomes, one of the hottest ingredient trends in skincare today. But I'm not going on this adventure solo. I'm excited to welcome to the podcast Dr. Jen Haley. Dr. Jen is a board certified dermatologist with over 20 years of experience in medical, cosmetic, and surgical dermatology. She's practiced all over the world, both as an officer in the U.S. Navy and in private practice, helping her patients achieve radiant, healthy skin through a holistic and integrative approach. With a background in biology and nutrition from Cornell University and a medical degree from F. Edward Hebert School of Medicine, Dr. Jen blends science with a deep understanding of the body's natural rhythms to promote lasting skin health. She's advised global Fortune 500 companies, trained physicians in aesthetic procedures, and contributed her expertise to leading publications like Oprah, Shape, and WebMD. That happens to be one of my sources for my blog. She's also the host of the podcast Radiance Revealed, where she dives into the science of wellness, beauty, and longevity with top experts. I had the privilege of appearing as a guest on Radiance Revealed recently to chat with Dr. Jen about skincare ingredient trends. And I really wanted to delve deeper into the one active ingredient that has suddenly burst into the consumer marketplace for skincare innovations, exosomes. While it sounds like alien technology, exosomes have been employed by expert derms like Dr. Jen in their practices for years. She is an expert in exosomes. Let's do this.
Hey.
Jen, hi.
Hi, Carmine.
Welcome to the Skincarma Pod. Oh my God, this is like a dream come true.
I'm so happy to be here. So for everyone listening, can I just jump in?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Carmine and I met during COVID in Clubhouse. And the reason I love telling this story is because I have this small group of friends that I met remotely through internet connections that I highly value. And you are one of them. And I'm so grateful that we've stayed connected because why do we all want to look good? Why does everyone want to look good?
Totally, right? It's like,
so we connect with other people. So
yeah, of course.
Connection. So just connect.
We're connected. We stayed connected. I don't even know if I have the Clubhouse app on my phone anymore.
I know, me neither.
God, I loved that. I was on it. It was like the one thing I looked forward to every day. And it's so funny. Like, it's not funny, but during COVID was like the height of my like dealing with migraines. And almost every single time I was on Clubhouse, I had a raging migraine. And somehow it like it was fine. I got through it, you know? It was like, I need this more than anything right now. Mm-hmm. And I guess I hit it well.
You did hide it well because, well, the thing is you're a wealth of information. So it probably inhibited some of the information from coming out, which I've later discovered. So it's all great.
Yeah, it all works out. Yeah. So listen, I wanted to thank you again for hosting me on Radiance Revealed. I've already introduced Radiance Revealed to the audience. So you had me on a couple of weeks ago. I think it was the beginning of February. It's episode 82. If anybody wants to go back and listen to it, it was amazing. And I have to say, I think I know I've mentioned this, but I haven't. Like when I'm walking around Brooklyn listening to Radiance Revealed, I feel like I'm like in the middle of like a science class. It's so crazy. And I'm in another world. And I know that I mentioned the other day to you that I was listening to, is it episode 79 called Sunshine RX?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, mind blown. Like I was like, wait, what? And it kind of, you know, what you talked about with Dr. Katie Varman about the sun and sunshine and its effects on the body, and in particular niacinamide. I was like, oh my God. And I talked about this on my podcast last week. I tell everybody who listen that they need to be applying niacinamide every day, twice a day. And I've done that without prompt. I just started doing it like 5 years ago. And I honestly think I joked about this in my podcast last week that when I get to the pearly gates, I want to say to St. Peter, like, what was it? Was it niacinamide and sunscreen? Really? I want him to validate that for me. So thank you for my daily science class. I mean, there's like 380 episodes, right? I don't even know how many episodes it is. But it's like they just keep going and going, and I just keep like, for me now, it's Smartless and Radiance Revealed. Those are my two go-to podcasts. So thank you for the enlightenment.
Thank you. Thank you, Carmine. I mean, I think that there was a lot out of that podcast that I learned from Katie, and she's wonderful. I met her at the Integrative Dermatology Symposium. So it's really neat because in the dermatology world, there's now people who are more into the integrative natural space where I've always lived. And taking care of yourself from the inside out, and then it shows on your skin. And I was thinking before we connected today that we're in such different worlds, because I'm here in Arizona. It's in the mid 80s right now. You're in New York. I'm constantly fighting the effects of the sun. And what can I do internally as well as externally to help prevent the damage from the sun while also getting the benefits from the sun? So I think we did a good job covering that in the episode with Katie. But I also think that everybody needs to listen to your episode, which, by the way, is one of our most popular episodes so far, of the top 5 ingredients to look out for.
Oh, right. Wow.
Yeah, because you talked about new ingredients, and one of them I think we're going to talk about today.
We are. We're going to talk about exosomes today. And I didn't know much about exosomes until, I was preparing for our conversation on Radiance Revealed. And it was like, what? Is this like alien technology? Like, where did this come from? And I know now that exosomes are, a key function of cells in our bodies, but I guess, I'm not a doctor. And, to your point, we're in different worlds. And until exosomes reached the consumer marketplace, I'd never heard of them. I had no experience whatsoever with them. And you have. You were like, I remember when we talked about it, you're like, exosomes? What do you mean exosomes in a skincare product? I use exosomes in my practice. And I'm like, what? You do? How's this even happening right now?
Right.
So do you think you can give a quick, like, layman's explanation of what exosomes are?
Yes.
Because every time I research it and I use Perplexity AI, if I come across this word vesicles one more time, I'm like, and you get the definition of something and it's like you need to define words in the definition. Like, this is not helpful.
100%. 100%. So a vesicle, basically exosomes, EXOSOMES, they're basically little packages of information. So our cells, pretty much most cells in the body, produce these little packages of information that communicate from cell to cell. And cell to cell communication is really important because the body works as one unit. It doesn't work. The skin is not separate from the brain. It's not separate from the liver or the kidneys or the heart. Everything is communicating all at once. So exosomes are derived from certain cell types, but they are produced in our bodies naturally as little vesicles or sacs or packages, is the word I like to use. They're packages of messages. So we always want to ask, what is the message? What is the message that's being sent? So exosomes can be used. I've used exosomes since 2016. I went to the AMMG conference, which is Age Medicine Management Conference. And people were using exosomes intravenously, like in the veins, to help people who had really bad neurological things. Maybe they were in a car accident or they had a neurological condition. And we also were starting to utilize them on the skin. So after laser, after microneedling, when the skin is compromised, active ingredients are always going to penetrate better. Bad things are going to penetrate better, but good things are also going to penetrate better when the skin is compromised. So when the skin's compromised is when exosomes really have the ability to deliver messages. So there's companies like Chimera or Benev that have these post-procedure exosomes that run in the $100 to $400 range per procedure, the wholesale cost.
Mm.
And these messages are basically derived from typically mesenchymal cells. So from adipose tissue or fat tissue, bone marrow, or umbilical cord tissue.
Oh, wow.
And they're produced by those. And then we hope they send messages to enhance wound healing, to stimulate collagen production, and to reduce inflammation.
Okay. So when you referred to compromised skin, you mean through treatments like lasers, you don't mean necessarily injured skin.
It
Or
can
do
be used
you?
for both. Yeah, it can be used
Okay.
for both. We're always trying to weigh, cost versus benefit, but
Hmm.
certainly they can be used from both. People typically are willing to pay more money when it's cosmetic, right? So, and
Right, of course.
they're expensive. They're typically expensive. But now what we're seeing this year, as you discussed in my podcast, we're seeing more and more of this technology in a daily use serum with a number of companies that are out there to potentially reduce inflammation, improve fine lines, enhance collagen production,
Hmm.
and add hydration to the skin.
Yeah, I was doing a deep dive. I went deeper this time now that I had the foundation and, I got past the vesicle thing. And I was really impressed with the benefits of exosomes, even exosomes, applied like you do in office, in an in-office treatment where you apply them post-procedure or you apply them through microneedling. Is that how you get them past the skin barrier?
Yeah, so if I'm doing a laser on someone that disturbs the skin barrier, which most
Yeah.
lasers do, unless it's for hair removal or blood vessels, but if it's for, like, just say Fraxel, for instance, if we're going to do a Fraxel or a microneedling with radio frequency, where you make small little pinpoint
Hmm.
injections in the skin with heat, then the skin is open. It's receptive to receiving things, and then we put exosomes on right afterwards. And if I do it on one side of the face,
Oh, I was going to ask that.
yes, if I do the exosomes on one side of the face and not the other side, that side definitely heals quicker. So it's most receptive immediately after treatment, and then that night and the next morning. And then the skin is so beautiful, it starts to heal itself. So at that point, somebody can use an at-home product that's not as potent as what I have
Hmm.
in the office. It's also not as expensive. And
Right.
that one side that's treated, it heals so much faster than the other side. Probably instead of 10 days, maybe around 6 days,
Oh,
which
wow.
mhm.
And so what kind of benefits are you seeing? Like instant, a week, a month? Do when you do exosome treatments, is it a one-off? Do you do them, multiple times? Like a lot of treatments are, if you have a vexing dark spot, like an embedded dark spot, you need to go back multiple times, right? For laser treatment. So like how do your exosome treatments work in terms of, instant long-term benefits?
Yeah, so they're not so much exosome treatments, they're more the treatment, what we're doing for the person. So whether it's to help
Hmm.
tighten the skin, or I have some brown spots that, we'll try to get, or sunspots. Whenever the skin is compromised, the exosomes will help the skin heal quicker. It's
Got
not
it.
necessarily, it's hard to really see. So a lot of the studies are in animals. We're not seeing a
Mm.
lot of studies in humans on long-term use of these products. Just like most skincare products, we might see a small benefit in fine lines and wrinkles, a small benefit in collagen. That's kind of what I'm seeing with exosomes. It's just one more thing to kind of cycle in and out of your skincare regimen. But post procedure is where I see it being a really big winner, because it reduces inflammation quicker and it enhances healing quicker, which gets people back to real life and they see benefits quicker.
So you're using exosomes the way they're intended medically. Post procedure, I'm here for my exosome treatment. That's not a
Yeah.
thing. That's like what I'm seeing in the consumer marketplace. Like, here's an exosome serum. They're not, the marketers aren't asking you to apply this after a procedure. They're asking you to use this exosome treatment in lieu of something else anti-aging in your medicine cabinet. So you're always using exosomes post treatment as
No,
kind of part of a protocol.
Yeah, both. So since 2016, I've used it. It's not FDA approved. So
Right. I actually found that out this morning. It's not FDA because I was researching the differences between retinoids and exosomes and the benefits, and it said, retinoids are FDA approved, and exosomes, I forgot how exactly it was phrased. It was
yeah,
like,
they're FDA.
largely unregulated. I loved that.
Yeah, and some of them are FDA cleared, which means they're kind of safe, but they're not directed towards a certain type of treatment protocol. And these FDA approved things are such expensive studies. So
Right.
most medical practitioners, as long as something is legally available, or if something is FDA approved for one indication, we can use it for multiple indications as well. That's often what we do before the science catches up to us, just using understanding the mechanism of action and understanding the risks versus the benefits, and where the weight is on that. So with exosomes, though, I've used them with microneedling and laser. So with microneedling, they're wonderful because I apply it to the skin as we're microneedling. So as we're doing
Right.
little needles, it's being used as the glide to go in the area, and then it settles in afterwards. It's an add-on to the procedure. So you have to look, if you're getting a procedure, consider you're going to be adding on another $100 to $150 for the exosomes in the office. And then if you buy a product to take home, there's many products. I wrote down some of the names of companies that make these at-home products. They're plated. Intense Serum is one of them. There's Elevate, Exoceuticals, Soam Skin, Anti-Age, Osmosis. You probably know others. And these
I
are
know osmosis. I know plated because you introduced me to them. They seem to be completely focused on exosome treatments,
Mhm.
topical, like that's their whole thing.
Yeah, and personally, I mean, you and I, we are our own best guinea pigs, right? So
Yeah.
we try everything, and the plated intense serum, I definitely can see an improvement with that. Their regular daily serum, I'm like, meh, like I just don't see much. And I wonder about these exosomes, because are they penetrating the skin? This is always the question you and I go back to.
Yeah.
The active ingredients that are studied in the lab actually penetrating the skin.
Without, microneedling or any of those nonsense. I don't know if we talked about this. I did that once at home and I was like, I am never doing this again. And anytime anybody asks, I'm like, please do not prick your face at home.
You
Like,
have to numb
what?
it. We'll numb you first.
I can't.
I'll,
It's
I'll
too
numb. Well,
much.
you don't need it, but I mean, I'll numb
No.
your face and then I'll do an actual one.
Oh my God. I'm coming to Arizona.
I'm about to go there. Yeah.
I need to get out of here. It's about to get cold here again. I need to get out of here. What are you doing this weekend?
I'm going to LA this weekend.
Are you? I'll meet you there.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, so 2016. You've been using exosomes with your patients since 2016. Do you find that patients, clients are aware of them, or they're learning them from you predominantly, or is anybody coming in with knowledge of them yet?
There's a few people. I mean, it just depends on the social media, right? And what they're
Yeah.
listening to. I hear so many crazy things.
Like what?
Oh, I can't even keep up with it. I can't keep up with it. I mean, I've seen wait, you know how it is when you're in this industry. You see things come and go so quickly.
Yeah.
I'm not one to really make a judgment against anything. I kind of wait and see, and is it enduring? So I
Yeah.
started using
Yeah.
it myself in 2016. I started using it on patients in 2018,
Oh
and it was
wow.
procedure. And I wouldn't, I would explain to them this is going to enhance healing. It may help with fine lines and wrinkles. It may fade scars, improve hydration, even out skin tone, and speed up the healing of the procedure. So I find that my patients who really can't tolerate a lot of downtime and had the budget for it, they'd love to add it on. Whereas, some people, they're like, that's okay. I work remotely. I don't need to turn the camera on. The extra 4 or 5 days it takes me to heal, I'm okay with that. They didn't do it. And can I say that one got better results than the other? I can't really say that. I can't really.
Right, but they may have healed more quickly.
They 100% healed more quickly because
Okay, yes.
you for sure have done split face where one side I used and one side I didn't. And it's 3 to 4 days quicker healing. Sometimes.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I was reading too, I did a lot of research into, you know, like, what about applying it topically? And as a consumer, you know, without the expertise of a dermatologist, you know, what could exosomes potentially do for me if I'm applying it topically? And, you know, I think, you know, like we talked about this Skin Fix product. It's the first product in Sephora that features exosomes. And you just alluded to the Osmosis product,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I've been playing with this for several months. Both products are incredible.
And I have so here.
Oh, right.
And I have plated here.
Plated. I need to get my hands on that.
Yeah. So it's empty, or else I'd send it to you.
It's been used up.
The plated is a serum, and you can go on your tangent about serums and how there's so many serums, like you're
right, totally, like I did.
Whereas the exo is a moisturizer. So I always ask myself, is it the exosomes I'm seeing benefit from, or is it the base, the moisturizing base?
Right. The Skin Fix is like a moisturizing balm as well.
Right.
Like I'm almost like hesitant to dispense it, but you see it?
Oh yeah. Okay, that's beautiful.
It's more like it's like a salve. It's really I don't even know how to describe that, but you see how it goes on like it really is like a balm.
It glides. So
it glides on.
Best studies, if you're going to review a study to see if the active ingredient is really beneficial,
Yeah.
they would take the base of that product, the salve, and apply it to one side of the face, and then the base plus the exosomes to the other side of the face, and see if there's a difference. And that's what we want to see. Otherwise, it's just the base, because hydration is always going to make the skin look better.
But, you know, I was starting to get to the topical applications of exosomes at home. And there was some really interesting stuff I was reading about how exosomes, when used in conjunction with retinoids, really help to tone down and mitigate irritation. And, you know, a lot of people are like, they steer clear of retinoids because they've had a bad experience. They either used one that was too strong for their skin, which was my experience the first time. I used a 1% retinol treatment, and I had never used it before, and I applied it like a moisturizer. I went crazy, and I woke up the next day and I was bright. I've never been so red in my life. Right. And I didn't use it again. I didn't touch retinoids of any kind for probably a year. And so I love this idea of using, you know, a little bit of an exosome treatment, an at-home exosome treatment in conjunction with a retinoid to mitigate that kind of irritation. Is that something that you would recommend?
Yeah, you know, I haven't looked at it that way, but when I'm listening to you, I'm thinking of mechanisms of action and the fact that exosomes can help improve the skin barrier and boost hydration and boost collagen. So I definitely agree that it could be complementary. And I would apply the exosomes. Well, it depends on the base. If it's a serum, I'd apply the exosomes first and the retinol. If it's a cream or a balm or a salve, then you want to apply it second. So thinnest, thickest. There's There's three things I usually tell people to tolerate retinols.
Go for it.
Okay. So we live in America where people want the fastest results. So more is better, but that's not true. With retinol, you want to start low and go slow. So you start with a low percentage, put a pea-sized amount on your finger. I'm going to just demonstrate it with the exosomes here. So you put a pea-sized amount, the size of a pearl, size of a pea, dot, 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 and rub it in. I go all the way up to the eyelid margin and include the eyelids. Okay. Avoid the creases here, avoid the creases in the nose, avoid the creases in the mouth, and then avoid the crease that sits in your neck, because that area can pool overnight. And
okay.
Yeah, but always include this whole area, your face, your neck, and your chest as one unit, because we want it to age the same. So you apply it 3 times a week only. And then after 2 weeks, if you're not having peeling or irritation, you go up 1 extra night. for 2 more weeks and
Mm.
slowly increase your amount of retinol until you can get to every night. If you're using it 3 times a week, after 6 months, you're going to have collagen stimulated. You're just going to get there a little bit quicker if you use every night. The second technique I do is I do a sandwich technique where you apply your moisturizer first.
Oh.
And then you apply your retinol, or in this case, you apply your exosome first,
Mm-hmm.
then you apply your retinoid, let it dry, and then apply another layer of moisturizer, that sandwich technique. And
Oh,
we used
right.
to think that this limited the benefits of retinoids, but we don't find that anymore. There are scientific studies showing that applying a moisturizer first, hyaluronic acid and ceramides in the studies,
Mm-hmm.
does not inhibit the benefits of retinoids because they work through nuclear cell receptors. So as long as it can get to the cell receptors, you don't have to have complete coverage. Keep with the pea-sized amount. And the third way is there's a product called, I have no conflict of interest with this, there's a product called AO2 Clear. You might want to check them out. It's
Mm-hmm.
hyper-oxygenated water. So after cleansing, I have people apply the AO2 Clear, and this helps protect the skin barrier as well, and then use their retinoid and then their moisturizer. So those 3 things are ways that I can get people to tolerate the retinoid really well.
Love it. Wow. Breaking news, everybody.
Because we know the science has been there since the 1970s, since Dr.
Yeah.
Jen, and it's not the sexiest product, but it works. It definitely works. And I love it up to the eyelid margin. I mean, I'm 53 and I don't have that many wrinkles under my eyes because I've been using retinoids there a long time.
Same. Retinoids and sunscreen, and niacinamide.
I know. I bumped it up too.
Is that right?
Thank you, Dr. Varman.
And I do the same. I go all the way in. All the way in. I don't ever have any irritation in here. I mean, I've gotten my skin has acclimated, but why wouldn't you take care of the thinnest skin on your face?
You and I think alike because we're very into the physiology, the mechanism of action. And I think it's ingrained in so many people. Like, don't touch that area. You're going to tear the elastic fibers. Don't touch it. Well, that area is going to be most likely to age because the skin is very thin. We smile, we're crinkling all the time. So,
And sun damage.
and sun damage, and especially coming in through the window of the car, I see more
Mm-hmm.
wrinkles on the left side than the right side.
For sure.
Yeah. So I treat it the same. I try to look for products that are safe for use around the eyes in case you accidentally get it in the eyes. But if you're not getting it in your eyes, treat the skin the same everywhere.
Yeah, and the same goes for sunscreen. There's a reason. I know you'll co-sign this. There's a reason why the eye area. There's several reasons why the eye area shows age first, and one of them is because you're not applying any sunscreen to protect the skin around your eyes. And you know what? Call me crazy. This like I think about this all the time. Like when I wear fragrance now, and for several years, I don't spray fragrance on my neck anymore because all of that alcohol, I suspect that all of that alcohol over 20, 30 years degrades the skin barrier on your neck, and that's why your neck just completely collapses when you hit 50. I mean, doesn't it make sense? You wouldn't spray fragrance on your face for the same reason. And so if anybody is listening, if anybody's out there listening and you're in your teens and your early 20s, do not spray fragrance on your neck ever, and wear sunscreen on your neck. Like, protect your neck, and in 30 years you'll dial in and I'll be in the nursing home and you'll thank me.
I think that's a great point because it's not so much adding more. It's like, what are you doing that you could take away
Yeah.
that's harming you? And the alcohol, well, we have less oil glands on our neck. So
Also, yes.
that's why men age better than women, because y'all have more hair follicles and oil glands, and that's how skin regenerates.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a little bit more protective, and we're devoid of that on our neck. So we definitely need to treat this area as a unit and protect it. And it's peeking out. I mean, I'm in Arizona. I have more skin exposed. You're still in New York, but your neck is exposed. So
my neck is completely exposed all day long. I never wear a scarf.
Right. And even though it's winter, there's light outside. That's
right.
UV radiation. We're getting radiated from the sun.
I always say, if you can see the sun can see you.
Yes. Yes.
Right?
There's this cancer surgeon who I used to work with when I was a resident, and the patients would say, it was in San Diego, I brought my hat. I wore my hat today. And she'd pick up the hat, and it would be a straw hat. And she'd say, can you see me? And they'd say, yes. And then she'd, well, so can the sun.
Oh my God. I love her.
She's great. Yeah. I want
Yeah.
to with exosomes though, because
Yeah. Go ahead.
what are the risks? So
Hmm.
we don't have a lot of human studies. And then the one thing I want to touch on, especially when I'm applying these things topically to skin, because I always think, what if I can inject it? Like, what if I could inject it in someone or myself instead of filler, for instance, right? And produce
Oh,
collagen from a deep level. I always think of how can I apply this to other things, right? And these are derived from human cells, from other people's cells. So there's always questions about transmission. So when I have this brand called Chimera, which people do inject. I use them with microneedling, but people do inject them into the bloodstream for severe cases like I talked about. I always think, so when I get the reports, I get a full report of them checking it for 70, 80, 100 different types of infectious diseases. There are diseases we don't know about. So that's, these things are microfiltered and centrifuged and distilled down into the active ingredients while removing potential pathogens. But all we need is one pathogen that might be smaller than the exosome itself. So that's just something to keep in the back of your mind. So I think topically we're probably just fine with it. Although I
yeah.
wouldn't necessarily go injecting unless I might consider it if I had a severe condition, I had no other way to, make a life, right? Because
Yeah.
we always want to have as full life as possible. The other thing is they're not very well regulated. They're not FDA approved. We talked about that. Safety standards are going to vary. And then as far as the potential side effects, some people can have irritation like with any product, but also we have to ask ourselves, what is the message that's being sent, right? So there's the messages in the packages or the sacks or what's the other word you don't like?
The vesicles.
Vesicles, yeah. There's
Yes.
the messages in the vesicles. So they're little water balloons. They're little water balloons that have messages in them. We're trusting the company to deliver the correct message, right?
Right.
I could send you an envelope and it gets delivered to Brooklyn and you think it's a gift, but it just says FU in it. I mean, we don't
It's a
know.
Trojan horse exosome.
Exactly. We don't know what the message is. So
Yeah.
procuring the best product, I think that has the most science is always going to be where you want to go. And then the science you want to look at is, are they doing split face studies where one side they're putting the moisturizing cream and then the other side they're using just the active, because they're expensive. And at the end of the day, we want everyone's money to be used in the best benefit for themselves.
Yeah. And when products or ingredients like this reach the consumer market, I think it's so important to break through the hocus pocus, because there's going to be a lot of that. There's going to be a lot of that over the next year, vis-a-vis longevity, exosomes, stem cells, all of neuropeptides, like all of this stuff, like with the wonky science. And it's so easy for a marketer to put a smattering of whatever into a product and then market it that way. And I see that kind of thing all the time, right?
Right? Like,
Especially with peptide creams, where the
yeah.
peptides, there's 3 peptides under the very last ingredient in the ingredient list. Like, that's not a peptide cream.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So,
like energy drinks, they'll say, oh, it contains such and such, but it's really nothing,
right, it's sugar.
Yeah, exactly. And it has the smallest amount, but they can claim it. I agree with you. I think there's a lot of exciting technology. I think I like cycling things in and out. So I typically, personally, I cycle exosomes in when I'm having maybe a compromised skin barrier. Okay, so I had a film shoot on Sunday and she accidentally burnt me with the curling iron. Can you
Oh
see it?
my. Yeah.
I've
Hmm.
been putting exosomes on that. So when I have a compromised skin barrier or post procedure, or maybe we're experiencing really dry winter skin, if you're in a colder environment, I like exosomes when the skin barrier is a little compromised. To your point about using it with retinoids, I think that's a great idea. I'm going to start playing with after procedures. I think there's more tried and true things to do on a daily basis, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. Mhm.
Yeah, that makes complete sense.
But I like cycling
Wow.
things in and out because it's like our diet. If I had
Yeah.
chicken and salmon and broccoli every day, those are healthy foods, yet I'm not full nutritionally. So you need to cycle new things in and out and to fill in all the gaps. And I think exosomes can play a role in that.
That's true. That's such a great point.
I'm a big cycler. Like I like
Yeah.
to sync with the seasons. and sync with my cycle and rotate, but not rotate too quickly. I feel like every 3 months is a nice time to cycle things in and out.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I mean, it's neat because there's a lot of technology and you get sent so much, so do I, of combining products. You just don't flip around too much if you're listening because it's easy to start doing everything and then you end up with irritated skin. And we don't know how
Yes.
things are going to affect each other. So we might know
Yeah. Yeah.
it does. Yeah. We don't always know how things interact with each other. So it's like the whole longevity world. Some people are doing so much to themselves that they're actually counteracting the benefits of if they just implemented one healthy.
Right. They're rattling their skin, and their skin barrier is like, what is going on? Like it's confused.
Exactly. Exactly.
And, I talked about, I alluded to that a bit in my last podcast about, using ingredients together and really organizing your AM and your PM routine and isolating products that go in the PM, and it's not just retinol, and isolating products that go in the morning, and it's not just sunscreen, right? So you have to really think about it in a smart way to get the most out of it. I think that's so important. And it's also important, for consistency.
And working with our circadian clock. So at night, we're resting, rejuvenating,
Yeah.
renewing, and we want to support that process. In the day, we're protecting from environmental toxins, from
Hmm.
radiation, from all sorts of things. And we want to support the protection process. So we're working with nature to have our skin in the right metabolic frame.
It makes complete sense. Like you talked at the outset about how functions in the body are all constantly in sync and communicating with each other. And you've alluded to this, and I think about this all the time about how the skin is always trying to achieve homeostasis with the world around it. I mean,
Yeah.
we're not like we may think that way, that we're existing in isolation, but we're really not.
No, I agree fully. And I think humans often think we're smarter than nature and we can come up and hack things. And the truth is if we learn to sync with nature, that's where we're our most powerful.
Oh, yes.
Hmm.
I love that. That's a great place to end.
Leave it at
On
that.
that,
Listen
that's
to yourself, listen to your own
yeah,
skin, right? Listen to your.
yeah. Thank you. Wow. Look at that. Hey, Jen, tell us where listeners can find you.
Sure. You can find me stalking Carmine's site. Okay, so I have a podcast, Radiance Revealed. You can listen
Hmm.
to our episode on there as well as other episodes. It's the whole gamut of everything you can do, both topically and internally, even your thoughts, to improve how you show up in the world. Because I believe that we ultimately do everything to better connect with other people. So if you feel good about yourself and you glow and you'll be more confident and connect with people. So Radiance Revealed podcast is on all the platforms. And then Instagram at Dr.Jen Haley and DrJenHaley. And LinkedIn is also great.
Jen, thank you so much. This is amazing. I knew it was going to be amazing. I'm so excited. We're going to do this again, I promise.
I hope so. Thank you, Carmine.
All right. Thanks, Jen. Have a good one.
You too.
Ciao.
Ciao.
That's it, guys. That was incredible. I'm so appreciative of Dr. Jen. Please follow her podcast. Seriously, it is everything for me. Um, I can't wait for new episodes to come out. And there's, because I just discovered her, there's dozens and dozens of episodes that I have not delved into yet. So I'm super appreciative. This was a great conversation. I hope you learned a little bit more about this alien technology, exosomes, and how it could help you to amplify your results and get the best out of your skincare products to optimize your skin health. All right. Thank you so much for listening to the Skincarma Pod. For more insights, real talk, and reviews of my favorite skincare products, check out the Skincarma blog at skincarma.com. And if you like what you heard today, please subscribe to the podcast and leave a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Ciao.